Greetings again, everybody. Welcome back to Dark Souls 2. Now, after going through Huntsman's Copse the last time, we will actually go down that very same path this time, ignoring what little optional bits are left of Huntsman's Copse for now. But before we do that, let's catch up with some people because we bought some stuff from Marlin, so he has new stuff to say and sell.
Oh, I was hoping that you would come. I've stocked some new things and I thought that you might be interested. They've been selling rather well, and I may step up operations soon. I'm surprising even myself, to be honest. Did I mention before that, well, I'm not from these parts? I was on a journey, and somehow ended up here. The desolation here was disenchanting at first, but over time, things started to turn my way. Yeah, I've got a good few regulars now. They're all strangely desperate and quite willing to pay a premium. Sadly, some of them never come back, but I try not to think about it. Have you seen that warrior lugging that giant blue sword about? I'm no expert, but that appears to be a fine specimen. The monstrous thing has a peculiar design, quite unlike anything found in Volgan. If you should speak to him, would you ask him if he won't sell it? I'd have to take another look, but I'm confident I could offer quite a price. I considered returning to my homeland, but I've decided to stay a while longer. I've started to turn a handsome profit now, and I can't bear to give it up.
He now sells the Royal Soldier Armor and the Elite Knight Armor, and we only need to spend 1,000 souls to make him do that. And you know what, let's go classic Dark Souls and buy the Elite Knight Armor, which was prominently featured on promotional material for the first game. To unlock the next and final tier of his shop, we need to spend 15,000 souls, which we should have reached now thanks to the Elite Knight Armor.
Thanks very much. Do come again.
And now let's go to Kale, because after meeting a certain someone, he will actually tell us a little bit about him.
Ah, yes. There is something I wanted to tell you. I was born in the land of Mirror. Mirror is also the home of an infamous killer, a knight in name alone. He was locked in the dungeon for multiple murders, but shortly before his execution, he managed to escape. And the other day, I saw a fellow with a striking likeness, and then... Wait. Well, I think he looked rather similar. No, it's true. I saw just such a man, I swear. I believe his name was Cray something. I believe. They shared some resemblance, I think.
Creighton? Oh, he seemed so nice though. Anyway, let's head to Melentia.
Oh, you again? Go on, it's on the cheap for you. Everyone's so stingy around here. Everyone's so stingy everywhere. You're my only customer. Don't make me beg. Now buy something. We call this place Medulla. Not too special if you ask me. It's just the place where everyone seems to end up. Everyone's so... You're my...
Alright, let's spend some souls here, because once you spend 10,000 at her shop, she will give us a little something extra as a thank you.
We call... It's just a...
Alright, that wasn't quite enough. Let's buy some more.
Take these, if you want them. Lonely times these are.
Alright, the coveted silver serpent ring is rather nice. If we equip it, we will get a little more souls for every enemy we defeat. The +1, by the way, obviously indicates that it's a slightly better version of the ring. We can't upgrade ourselves though. But yeah, let's go to Harvest Valley. Alright, the fact that we're now here might make you believe that we're done talking for now. But actually, right up here, there's another person who deserves our attention right now.
Are you a traveller? I'm Chloanne, an ore-stone trader. I travel about collecting rare stones, which I sell to make my living. I never planned to visit this God's forsaken place. But I don't know. I just sort of ended up here. I must have just wandered in. But now that I'm here, I've been scouting around for rare bits. Oh, don't look at me like that. Many of these stones are quite useful. For instance, certain stones are used in smithing. Oh, now your ears prick up. I've extras if you can pay. This is my trade, after all.
Right now, Chloanne doesn't really sell us anything that we couldn't get anywhere else aside from a bonfire aesthetic and some magic. But as we go, she will sell higher tiers of titanite and also ore stones we need to infuse weapons.
I came here in search of rare stones, but the place is nothing like I was told. All this poison, and you can't get very far inside. Don't just go haplessly wandering about. These stones may look all the same, but to the trained eye, each is unique. Some of them are used to smith weapons and armor, and some unique stones provide special benefits. Some of them are extremely rare and should be used with great thrift. None of the differences are easily spotted, but I've learned quite a lot, really. Drang Lake. How is it that I ended up here? It's funny. I can't seem to remember. I've searched every nook and cranny here. I suppose it's time to move on. Perhaps we'll meet again, if we live that long. I suppose it's about time I moved shop.
This is the first time I'm noticing that she's holding a skull. Anyway though, it's time to go. As you may have guessed from all the green fog and what she's been saying, this area's gimmick is basically that there's a lot of poison. In fact, if we step down there, we will be poisoned, so let's equip some poison moss just to be sure. It still may be better to counteract the poison with life gems, which gradually heal yourself, so they might be the better choice. You can also actually use them while moving. Your move slightly slower, but that makes them useful for combat, despite most people, including myself, just using Estus. And yeah, those guys might look threatening at first, but their range attack doesn't actually have a vertical aspect to it, so you can just stay upstairs and be safe. Now, I didn't show this, but in New Game Plus actually, as soon as you step into this area, there's another skeleton assembling itself, trying to attack us. But it's not really that noteworthy. This area is great for finding some Titanite. These skeletons, for instance, they drop Titanite, and there's actually quite a few Titanite items just lying around here. There's even a Titanite chunk lying somewhere around here. So it's definitely worth it to just wade through the poison and pick everything up. Just, you know, to be sure to have everything, because it's actually worth it. Most of the time it is, at least. Like, even if you find a small, smooth and silky stone like just now, that might be useful to you. Because if you give those to Dinah and Tilo, you might just get Titanite as well. And Titanite this early in the game is kind of a rare commodity anyway. Now this little part up here is not something you'll want to miss. Mostly because of that item right here. A Fragrant Branch of Yore, which, you know, we will have to use at some point to actually get through the game. And it's not like there's just one branch of Yore. If we look at the description, we get a little hint that we might be able to use it to unpetrify petrified people. And, well, we didn't actually find anyone petrified yet, but we might very soon. Normally here there would be an NPC. Right now he's not here though. Which is kind of sad, because I like that guy. But we have to talk to him in a different spot first before he'll appear here. It's not like he has anything plot relevant to say, but he's a cool guy, and we'll be seeing him, of course. I just want you to take note of the fact that there's absolutely nothing above the windmill right now. Except the sky, of course. You know, just keep that in mind. For until it gets relevant. Maybe next video, who knows. But yes, this part here might seem really threatening at first, but this is how I usually do it. You don't actually have to fight those guys. I mean, you will eventually have to get past them, but that's not the problem. If you mistime your descent back down, they might hit you with one of their dark orbs, but other than that, there's not really much of a challenge or threat involved. All you need to do is open this gate with that switch up there and then just run through it. And you'll actually be already at the first bonfire of this area right here. In New Game Plus this time around, the weapon we're using is the Dragon Slayer Crescent Axe, and it's not so much the star of the show as the magic we're gonna use, which is Pyromancy. The axe, though, is actually a pretty good weapon. It does lightning damage in addition to physical, but we're mostly gonna use to pick off smaller guys or to conserve our magic, because it's just too valuable for some opponents. Or maybe, you know, to wear them down if you already weaken them. And yeah, we could have gone ahead, which is optional, but instead we went here, which is also optional. And here we have to fight 5 artificial undead at the same time. Now, except for the Black Phantom one, all of those are also present in the regular New Game version of this area. But I find this to be relatively easy to deal with if you just, you know, bottleneck them up here. And if there's no room to fall back to, you just drop down and repeat the same process. Sometimes those artificial undead aren't very cooperative when they just block and stand up there, but yeah, normally it's pretty easy to just control them. And since we have some magic, we might even have a good means of taking them all out relatively at the same time. Now the great fireball spells you've already seen me use, you know, that is fair damage, but look at this. This is Chaos Storm. It's a little bit random, but it does area of effect damage, and it does pretty good damage too. But you can't rely on it, as you can see here. I get hit. Pretty random after all. Now, the Fireball is a ranged but fairly strong spell, but what's even better is Great Combustion. It's a melee spell, has slightly lower damage. Normally you'd have about half the amount of cast, but I put 2, just so I could use it more. And it's very good if you use it instead of a melee weapon. Now obviously, since you can only use it 6 times or 12 times if you have 2 equipped, you will want to also bring a normal weapon and not use them just about any opponent, but those are bigger dudes, they're fair game. Especially the Red Phantom guys, because they're dicks. They're really unnecessary, they shouldn't be there. At least in this case, I don't think he's an interesting addition. Yeah, you can see that we took care of that situation rather easily. And we barely took any damage in the process. Now there's a bunch of those little entryways with a couple items. Most of them have something in them. I would not recommend opening those up during the battle and picking up what's behind them, because there might also be enemies inside. Now in this case, most of them got opened up by ourselves or the artificial undead, but we managed. And this is actually the way on, so if you just want to get through here and get what's, well, there, then you will actually be able to just do that. No, look at that. A crystal lizard. Yeah, I suck at getting them, which is why I usually bring a powerful ranged attack to deal with them, like Lightning Spear. And we get a large Titanite shard, which this early in the game, again, is fairly rare. We can buy about 20 regular Titanite shards from Cloan and from Lenegrast, but other than that, there's not really much of a constant supply of Titanite. And yeah, we got another Fragrant Branch of Yore. But yes, in New Game Plus, this time instead of fighting the 5 artificial undead, let's head up here. There's one of those guys, and the wooden wall behind him is breakable too. But it's kind of a pain to arrange him attacking that, because if you get close to him, he will normally back away. As you can see here, just so he can more easily do his thing with the Dark Orb. He has a Clone Strange attack, but he barely ever uses it, and instead uses the Dark Orb, which of course also works in melee. Now, you might see that there's a Red Phantom behind that wooden wall. That obviously wouldn't be there in regular New Game, which is why it's really hard to actually get behind there in regular New Game, because those guys with the Dark Orbs, they're not cooperative, as I already told you. That, however, will always break through. But you know what's really nice about all that? The loot behind it. Yes, it's not exactly worth it. It's all stuff that you don't really need. You might appreciate some of it, but other than that, yeah, no, not worth it. The Old Knight Pike and Great Shield might seem nice to you, but they have very low durability and are practically useless, sadly. And now here we have another one of those poison parts. This time around it's a little more difficult. So let's delay it as far as possible by opening the chest first. Again, there's no need for you to come here. But there might be something nice here. I mean, you can't even properly see there, so if you're lucky enough, there will be bloodstains from people who died, or messages from people who took the time to write messages down here, which is really nice of them. But other than that, you might not actually see anything, where to go, whatever. Now we get pretty lucky this time around. Plus, I know it's a straight path. Now there's one more hole here. Again, you don't have to do any of this. You don't have to go down these poison tunnels at all. But again, might be nice to find something down there, which may or may not be useful. But who am I kidding? It's not really worth it. Except the simpleton spice, which might be nice. I didn't explain spices yet. There's basically simpleton spice and skeptic spice. And those two kinds of spices can be applied to magical scrolls. Simpleton spice can be applied to sorceries, which will lower the intelligence requirement of it, and skeptic spice can be applied to miracles, to make the faith requirement go lower. This of course makes the scaling a little bit lower, but it doesn't really matter. If you want to use like a buff or something, that's the best idea to do. Of course, we need a special NPC to actually use the spices, which we haven't met yet. Now with that guy dead, I think we should just delve down into the poison for one last time to retrieve whatever's down there. Ah, the chameleon spell. This one's rather interesting. In PvP mostly, it will allow us to disguise ourselves as a random background object. This might be something that's out of place or something that can very well just confuse your opponent. Maybe he won't even notice it at all. Maybe we'll be seeing that at some point. I like playing around with Chameleon. Not necessarily in PvP though. But yeah, before actually going on to progress, there's one last optional bit to this area. To the outside, that is. Inside, of course, we will have a couple more side paths. Now we can see an artificial undead. Of course, I can't backstab him once more like that other guy last episode. You guys suck at sneaking up to people, but it's possible, trust me. You just have to be a little more careful. And yeah, in the background you might already see it, if you're familiar with Dark Souls. That statue, or the broken statue rather, is the exact same statue from Dark Souls. You know, the one Solaire is standing in front of, preaching his ways. And you can even join the very same covenant here, the Heirs of the Sun. We are now a Sunbro. When doing co-op, our summon sign will not be white, it will be orange. And our phantom's color will not be white either, it will be orange as well. In addition to that, we get that gesture here. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's all there is to do back there. Now let's actually head inside that windmill. Okay, we've seen those guys before. One of them outside actually. They can poison themselves by breaking those poison jars, and you definitely don't want to use a wide swinging weapon in here, because that'll just break the jars and poison you. So be careful, definitely. And if we went to the right down outside, we could have gone down there. In fact, we could also climb down a ladder. Or do this. Don't try this at home. Yeah, right to our left right now should be the ladder. That would lead us back up or down if we so desire. And those big guys, they might be a problem to you, depending on what weapon you use, but with the mace, two-handing them, we do just put enough damage to stun lock them. And you don't want to walk there in the middle. You'll fall and you'll die. And a Nestor's Flask Shard, very nice. Always nice to find those. Now, mushrooms as enemies isn't exactly a first for Dark Souls, but those are insect mushrooms. Or insects with a giant fungus growing on top of them. But oh well. Poison jars, don't break them obviously. And you know, the Pharaoh's contraption. And it reveals another hidden path. Now we do need to use the Pharaoh's Lockstone to actually make that part openable. The face merely indicates where we have to hit. but we can't actually get in there without the face appearing there. But yeah, let's actually get back up there, because down here, aside from that poison bite ring we just picked up and the Estus flask shard, there really isn't much we need. And the poison bite ring at that point is kind of useless because we have the worst poison behind us already. And that part down there looks tempting. And there actually isn't any other way to get there aside from jumping. So let's try our best to jump there. Oops. Okay, soul's back. Let's try again. Obviously, it's hard to reach, so it has to be worth it. The jump is hard to pull off because you have to just do it at the right angle so you don't drop down. You'll always have to consider for the roll and... oh, a hole in the wall. What's this? Oh. Christ. Yeah, that opening in the wall is a surefire sign that there is an arrow trap somewhere around. So if we look on the ground, we might be able to locate a pressure plate. It is right here. Well, let's trigger it for fun. We could also trigger it to kill enemies, but... well, I didn't think so far ahead. Oh, there's one enemy. He apparently didn't notice me. Except he did. That's all of them, though. Now, in this chest there's nothing special, but it is a good way to get a crossbow, which is already upgraded, as well as some heavy bolts. Heavy bolts, by the way, can be used to break the poison jars or any other jar or breakable object. Iron arrows are the equivalent for bows. And let's carefully line up the jump here, and... let's not talk about this ever again. Oh, fuck it, not worth it. One last look at my souls I just lost, but we'll be getting them back eventually. Just not those particular ones. Which has a negative effect on our soul memory, and soul memory basically is every single soul we've ever held. Which affects online play, because matchmaking isn't affected by soul level anymore, but instead by soul memory. Now in regular New Game, soul level also plays a factor, but in New Game Plus not at all. It's only soul memory, and it's not a very good system, I think. Basically, this makes it possible to have large power gaps. At similar soul memory, there might be vastly different soul levels. The quality of the equipment might also vary greatly. Thankfully, no one expects us to jump anywhere anymore. From here on out, it's just walking. And oh look, hey, fuck it. Let's not go there first, obviously. Because, well, if you play video games the way I do, you always go anywhere but where you have to go first. And that room there basically only holds a treasure chest. I'm gonna say it right away, it's not really worth it. Normally I just skip it. For reasons that, you know, shall become obvious very soon. Because this chest here is a trap chest. And what's inside is nothing but a torch. And torches are fairly useless. There's very few areas where you'd actually want to have an extra light source. But oh well. Let's actually go in there and fight the boss. And this time around we'll be seeing the New Game Plus version, mostly because it's more fun to watch. And this is the Covetous Demon, and you might see the jars up top. We don't have to do this. But if you shoot them, a corpse will fall out, and the Covetous Demon will do its best to get towards it and eat it up. However, when eating he has ludicrous defense. As you can see here, that Chaos Storm barely did anything. Normally it'd be much more powerful. But the Covetous Demon isn't really a very hard boss. It's pretty simple if you just stay to the sides of him and not in front of him. There's very little he can do. Well, sometimes he does this, which hits you in the oddest kinds of ways, but yeah. All of his attacks are fairly telegraphed and easily dodged. His nastiest attack is when he actually, you know, slurps you up and eats you. Because that will actually unequip every piece of armor you just had. And that's what it looks like, by the way. And you would be naked. Completely naked, and you'd have to equip everything again. Which is very annoying. My favorite attack actually is when he rolls over. Which looks like this. Now if you stay on this side, he will roll over one more, but if you get on this side, he will flop around. And yes, just to show that, I took a little more damage, because I love that attack. I love it. But yeah, I think it's about time we wrap this up. The Covetous Demon doesn't have much health left, and we got a Chaos Storm. And that's just how powerful Chaos Storm is. Now make no mistake, that boss fight is easy anyway, so I didn't feel bad cheesing it using that powerful magic. And up those stairs we have a bonfire and a new friend?
What is it? I don't know you, and you don't know me. Things are better that way. You are an odd one. Normally, people keep a safe distance when they see this mask. But you... I'm called Lucatiel. From the land of Mira to the far east, across the mountains. They say Drang Lake brims with powerful souls. And so I came to claim my share. But what a strange place. Even the rumors did not prepare me. You are an odd one indeed. I've always made a point of avoiding people. While you've made a point of engaging me. I can see that you are mid-journey. If you require assistance, I will help you. I come from Mira, a land of knights. My sword is always ready. Don't hesitate to call upon me. Whatever happens, I won't be missed.
Alright then, this was Harvest Valley and the beginning of Earthen Peak. And now we're gonna have a look at the weapon we can make from the Covetous Demon's Soul. Soul of the Covetous Demon that devours all things. Eating is an expression of desire. There once was a man whose deep affections were unrequited. He transformed into the Covetous Demon, which only made him lonelier than before. Let's just hope that he didn't believe the friend zone was a thing. But yeah, let's move on to his weapon, the Bone Scythe. The scythe forged from the soul of the Covetous Demon. The curved spine of the Covetous Demon is hard as rock, and rather than slicing through flesh, this weapon seems to grind it apart. That thing that ended up as a monstrous fiend, what was it to begin with, and why did it never leave the Queen? Perhaps it was entranced by some perversion of love. The weapon itself does plain physical damage, nothing special. It has okay scaling with strength, but what really makes it and other Reaper class weapons a decent choice of weapon is that if you hit an enemy just right at the right distance with a sweet spot, you will be able to penetrate their guard. And that is actually something that can come in very handy, if you just know how to use it. Its damage isn't really that bad, it's moderate. It's a good weapon, I suppose, if you can get used to the sweet spot of it. You know, maybe at some point we will use a scythe too, but that's something for another day. For now, I hope you enjoyed this episode. See you again next time.